This here is something that I do a lot of. I've got a job that I'm doing. It's a one color back, a one color over the heart front. There's black, navy shirts and white shirts, so I've got to go from white ink to black ink. On the backs of the darks, I print, flash print, just like you normally would. And then here, shortly, I'm going to show you when I do the fronts, I do a no flash white with a little bit of my puff stuff up, in it. I don't have to flash. I just hit it and run it through the dryer. And I'll show that to you here in a bit. Okay, I'm getting the white out, getting ready to go to black. This is the white that I got from Sunny, and it's regular white is what it's called. It did a real good job on 100% cotton, and it does look like it's got just a tad of blowing agent in it, so I like that, since the stuff I use all the time's got a lot. Now when I come back with that puff, since I really don't want it very high off the shirt, but I want a really nice opaque color on there, like you'd put it on, flashed it a couple times, and it even gives it like a little bit of texture, which I kind of like. I do almost all of my over the hearts one colors like that, regardless of the color, because you can make that puff not even like bleed up through neons and everything if you get used to what you're doing with it. And I put about 6 or 7%, which if the more you put in there, the higher it's going to puff, the less, the less. At 6, 7, 8%, when you run it through the dryer at regular t-shirt temperature and time, you can even get at the end of the dryer and look at it. But the ink starts to puff, and it starts up, and just before exit, it collapses back down on the shirt, and it gives a really, really nice opaque, like I said, almost kind of textured feel. A lot of this stuff now that I'm going to go over right now during this change is stuff that everybody knows, but there's probably a couple that doesn't. But when you go from white to black, or white or light to dark, I don't clean the screen. I just take a blade knife and get everything out I can, put the next color in there, print the first couple shirts, print a spotter first to clear the screen, and then I just take some off the top of the bevel of ink in the back, use it, and it mixes up really nice, really quick. Now when you're like me and you don't print the spotters, you don't wipe anything out, see that? Since I went from white to black, it's got that white outline where the gain was. I'm on white shirt, so I don't bother with wiping that off either, because you know what kind of shape you get in if you try to wipe black ink and you're printing white t-shirts. Yeah, and then after a couple shirts, the back of the screen or the shirt side will clean itself. One thing you want to do now that I didn't when I'm finishing up the backs here now, when you put the ink in there, you want to put more ink than you normally would, so it helps the domination of the lighter color. And something else I think it's real important to be a really good manual printer is to try to print every shirt exactly the same, pretty much kind of what an automatic would do. Once you get that down, just print each shirt, even if it's a little bitty simple shirt. Print every shirt the same way, and it gets you used to doing big runs where everything is identical, and that's what they're going to want there. Okay, when I go to change the colors now, I just use cut up pieces of film to mask it off on the bottom and the top. Just put a piece of tape around it. When you start your white, then to black, like I did on the back, I did white first, then to black. I'm going to put this piece of film in there once I get everything covered up and clean off just the top, because now I'm going to print white, micro puff over the heart with no flash, and I don't want all this black in there. If you don't use film for years, I use the shiny pieces out of the newspaper, the little shiny sales ads. They hold up a lot better than just regular newsprint, but if you use newsprint now, you're going to have to completely tape over the newsprint so the ink doesn't get on there. If you do, it pulls the plasticizer out of the ink. If you've ever noticed, if you've had paper or anything around the ink and it gets on it, how the ink's kind of a oily look, that will pull the plasticizer out of the ink, and if you do it enough, it'll kill the ink. Okay, what I do now is with the first print, I drive it down into the fibers of the shirt, flood, and then just take a good sharp squeegee and slice it off on the top. I forgot to say a little while ago, the squeegee that I used for the back and this squeegee that I'm using here are triple durometers where it's 70, 90, 70. So you got a soft blade with a real rigid middle so you can control the angle of that print. That print there, like, you know, that's straight up and down. That's like a 45. Hit it with a 45 on that second stroke. Just lay ink up on top of the ink you rammed into the shirt. It embeds itself nice to the shirt where it won't come off, plus gives you the real opaque looking that I'm after on a non-flash over the heart light on dark print. Okay, here it is right here on the navy. And yes, there is a little bit of texture to it because of that bold area there. If it's just like letters and little stuff, it works out really, really nice. So you have to find like a happy medium in between the bold area and the little words. But now, like I said, remember, I'm not after puff. I'm after opaque. That's pretty opaque on black right there. No flash white. Okay, this is what kind of mess you're going to wind up with in the screen. But see, I hadn't cleaned anything. Everything's still got the first color on it, the second color. Got the film down there with it taped off top and bottom. Don't forget about the bottom. And then I showed you the white just a second ago. And there's the black. All these series here is going to be called Speed screen printing when I get the other website up, but right now they're all for free.